So in the previous chapter, we had seen the rise of nationalism in India. That means the feeling of, nationalism, how slowly and gradually it aroused among the Indians. And, they also started, realizing how the Britishers were dominating them, right? Yes, students, do you all remember rise of nationalism in India we had done? And we also had done various events, various incidents which led to the rise of nationalism among the Indians, right? What is nationalism? Anybody? What does nationalism mean? If I'm saying rise of nationalism, what does nationalism mean?
Ma'am, a feeling, patriotic feeling again for one's country.
Very good, very good. Okay. So now we will see, from this particular chapter, we will see the Indian national movements. We have three, this particular chapter has been divided into three different categories: Indian national movement phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. All right. So let's study in detail about the Indian national movement. Now, the history of the Indian national movement was led by Congress. And Congress was broadly divided into three phases, okay? And this particular national movement was broadly divided into three phases. First phase was from the early nationalist phase, which was from 1885 to 1905. Yes? Just underline, led by Congress. Indian national movement was led by which party? Congress party. You remember we had seen the formation of Congress party in the previous chapter, how Congress was formed. Yeah. So the first phase, early nationalist phase. Second phase, assertive nationalist phase. And what is the year, children? Very good. Very good. The third one is the Gandhian phase. What about Gandhian phase? Very good. Very good. Is he audible to you all?
No, ma'am.
No, not audible. Okay. So he was just saying the years. I want you all to participate. Please unmute yourselves and participate, children. The early nationalists, that is the moderators. Okay. That is the first phase, that is 1885 to 1905. During its initial years, the Congress was led by leaders who were described by later historians as early nationalists. The members of the Congress during the early nationalist phase belong mainly to the educated middle class intellectual community. So these people, the members who are involved in this Indian National Congress, they belong to which category, which community? The educated middle class intellectual community. If you remember, I had told you all, when the Britishers were trying to smoothen their administrative system, they brought in Western education, right? Yes. Do you all remember? Now, who are the people who got, who took advantage of this Western education people? It was the
Indians.
Ma'am, the Indian educated people.
Correct. Educated middle class people, right? So these were the people who realized, okay, how did they realize? Because through that Western education, they learned a language, which was English. And through English language, they could communicate with the rest of the world. And through that, they understood that this is how the Britishers are dominating us, right? And therefore, they formed the community, which was called as the Indian National Congress Party. Clear? Now, who are the people who are considered or belong to this educated middle class category? It was the lawyers, teachers, journalists, officials, professionals, industrialists, and others. Please underline this. Educated middle class community, members of the, you can underline or you can highlight, whatever is comfortable.
Okay? Highlight is not working properly. That's
you can underline, no problem. Others, please underline. Members of the Congress. It is the second line next to the early nationalists. Members of the Congress, they are the educated middle class intellectual community. And who are those people? They are basically teachers, lawyers, the journalists. Clear?
Yes.
All right. The importantly, okay, let him underline. Let's continue.
Yes.
Okay. The important leaders during this period were Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, and Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So these, among all the members who were there in the Congress party, these three emerged as the leaders. Okay. Dadabhai, who were the leaders? Number one.
Dadabhai Nauroji, Surendranath Banerjee, Gopal Krishna Gokhale.
Very good, very good, very good. Okay. Now let's see what were their beliefs. What were the beliefs of these members? Okay. The early nationalists believed that British rule was a blessing. Why did they believe that it was a blessing? Any guesses?
Ma'am, because they took advantage of whatever the Britishers had announced, like English language, Western education. So they used it for their own purpose, which helped.
Right. Because it conferred several benefits on India, right? And benefits in the form of education, benefits in the form of introducing transportation, very good. Okay, they felt that at the stage of history, it was in their own interest to remain under British since they were not yet ready to govern themselves. Okay, so what did these people believe? That till today, if the Britishers were ruling us, it was only because we did not feel that need that we are capable of governing our own selves. Right now, we have got the realization. See, a change will come in anybody's personality. First, for that, the first step is realization. So this is the step where they realized. Yes. And what is the change? What is the ultimate change? That they threw away the Britishers from India. They wanted that change, right? That was the ultimate goal. For that, they first realized, this is the realization period, right? Where they believe that it is, if the Britishers are ruling us, it's just because we never thought that we are capable of governing our own selves. Next, the early nationalists were convinced that the British could be persuaded to introduce necessary reforms and the government could be transformed to suit the interests of the Indian subjects. Okay, so first, second realization, that was first realization, everybody understood?
Yes.
Okay, second realization is now they are saying that we should persuade the Britishers to bring necessary reforms. Reforms means changes. Whatever they had, they wanted to bring changes in that. Okay, whatever the British government had already brought the laws, they wanted to bring reforms in that. Okay, and the government could be transformed to suit the interest of the Indian subjects. So initially, the British government had certain rules and regulations which were beneficial for the British officials, but now they wanted to change it, and now they want that it should help the Indian subject, that means the Indian communities. Clear? This is the second realization. Third realization, they had faith in the British sense of justice and fair play. Okay, so even they, they have this thing that, okay, these people, these Britishers are enemy, but still they had faith in the Britishers. Why? Because they knew that they will do justice and they will have a fair play. And that's the reason till today, even whether it is, judiciary or any other administrative system, we still follow the norms and the reforms which were brought into India by the Britishers. Do you all agree? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next. So these are the beliefs. Have you understood the beliefs?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Now, objectives. See, why they found that they were fair and they were justice? Because before the Britishers came to India, how was the justice system? No, how? What rule was there? Monarchy rule. Monarchy rule means what? King. So whatever is the king's decision, that will be applied, right? So
Yes.
king would be either biased at times. So
Yes.
now somewhere or the other, these Britishers, they brought laws, right? So that's the reason they had this belief. Now we'll see the objectives. The early nationalists wanted proper participation of the Indians in the government in the near future. and a gradual move towards self-government in the distant future. Okay, near future means immediate action. What they wanted, that they want the Britishers to involve the Indians in the government. Okay, any government administrative system, they want them to, they had asked the Britishers to involve the Indians. If you remember, earlier we had studied, the Britishers did not had any Indian in the government system, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It was all the Britishers who were ruling. Correct? Do you all remember?
Yes.
Okay. So first action, what they wanted is, they wanted the Indians to be involved in the government system, okay, directly. Second, that is the later action which they want from the Britishers was having self-government, okay. That means no more, Britishers would be no more ruling us. So, okay, that also, whenever you want to achieve a target, you have objectives, right? You set up immediate goals and you set up 5 years goals, 1 month goal and 5 years goal, right? Like that. So immediate goal was, what was the immediate goal? Yes, student?
Ma'am, the immediate goal was to just let go of the Britishers, I mean, to gain freedom.
Immediate
And
goal.
the immediate goal was that proper participation of Indians in the
Very
government.
good reaction. Immediate goal was proper participation of the Indians in the government. And the distant goal was?
I'm a gradual move towards self-government.
Okay. Distant goal was having a self-government. Okay. Now we have seen their realizations. We have seen their objectives. Now we'll see what methods did they use to achieve their goals. Okay. We had seen their goals.
Yes.
Now we'll see how did they proceed to achieve their goals. Number one, the moderates adopted peaceful and constitutional methods. Over here, I just wanted to explain y'all. Here there was a division in the Congress. Okay, the community of Congress was divided into two categories with the in terms of methods. On one hand, we had the moderates. Okay, on the other hand, we had the extremists. Okay, moderates were the people who wanted to use a peaceful way, right? That means they did not wanted to go for a war or for a battle. They thought that we will communicate with the Britishers, we will, try to resolve by sitting and communicating by signing the agreements or treaties. But extremists were completely opposite of the moderates. What did the extremists do? They believe that till when are we going to, request the Britishers to fulfill our demands? If they do not fulfill, they believed in having a battle, okay, without giving any choice to the Britishers. So here the Congress was divided into two different categories in terms of methods. Clear? Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you, Via. So the moderate had the method of peaceful and constitutional method. Okay, they presented their grievances to the government and they waited patiently for the government to pass the laws to remove those grievances. Clear? So the moderate thought that no, we will present our grievances to the Britishers, to the government, and we will wait patiently for them to resolve our grievances. Clear? They believed that, Priyanshu, they believe that, no, scroll down.
Ma'am, it will be down. This slide was
The
a little
government
blurred.
would gradually give in to their demands. So they believe that the government is gradually, they will be able to convince the government and the government will accept their demands. So this was the method used by whom? By the moderates. Okay. They promoted unity, spread of political awareness, please underline, among the people, built up a strong public opinion through public meetings, through lectures, through newspapers, that is press. Okay, so these were all the methods which the moderators used. They thought, we will peacefully go, give our grievances to the Britishers, wait for them to reply. And they had this, belief that the Britishers are definitely going to listen to them and fulfill their demands. And how are the other methods? What other methods did they use to spread awareness? Was through giving lectures, through meetings, through press. They also sent delegations to England to persuade the British government to introduce necessary reforms. So not just in India, they used to send the people, their representative, even to England, so that they could go there and request the Britishers. Fine? So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
method of the moderators. And the extremists, which we will study in the next subtopics, were completely opposite of the moderators. All right, please underline.
Yes.
Yeah, we have already underlined sending the delegations to England. Demands of the early nationalists. So what do you think? What were their demands? What grievances they had put up in front of the Britishers? Okay, let's see that. The early nationalists wanted the Britishers to introduce certain reforms for the welfare of all sections of the Indian societies. Okay, reforms, that means changes for the welfare of all the people, all the sections of Indian society. They believed that the Britishers would grant them their request if they were convinced and the demands were reasonable and just. So they did not demanded something which the Britishers could not give. Okay, they demanded also such things which the Britishers could grant them, and they believed also in that the Britishers are definitely going to fulfill their demands. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone is clear till here? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Next is contribution of the early nationalists. Now let's see what happens further. According to some historians, the early nationalist leaders failed to achieve their objectives. Okay, there is no doubt some element of truth in their criticism. However, if we examine the early nationalist phase in the context of the entire movement, the achievements of the Congress became obvious. So you remember the Indian National Congress phases were divided into three different categories, three phases. So
Yes.
basically, the early phase failed in its attempt to achieve the goals. But if you will see the later half, until they reach the third stage, their achievements were quite obvious. Yes or no?
Yes.
What was
Yes.
their achievement? Any guesses? Correct. Independence. Okay. The early nationalists established a solid foundation which served as a base for a mere radical approach in later years. Okay, so although it was a failure, like we had seen the revolt of 1857, although it was a failure, right? But still it created an impact. Yes. So similarly, the early phase, it was not able to achieve all the terms and goals what they had, but still it was considered as a solid foundation for the next two phases. They spread political awareness among the people and instilled in them a sense of national unity. This is very important. So the early phase created political awareness and it instilled a sense of national unity among the people. They began to think of themselves as the members of one single nation, that is the Indian nation. It is only because of the first phase the Indians realized, they got this feeling, the sense of belongingness, that whether it is north, south, east or west, we are one. And how we are one? We are Indians. All right. The Congress under the early nationalists trained the Indians in political affairs. Please underline. They educated them in political matters and familiarized them with the ideas of freedom, government, democracy, secularism, nationalism, etc. This knowledge of and training in political affairs help the Indians to organize. Yeah, this is important. Because of these, trainings, because of this knowledge of political affairs, the Indian could now organize and raise a national movement. That is, go on to the next stage of development, next phase of development. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone understood till here?